back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Ghosts Series 4 Episode 3, which is titled The Hardest Word. I have talked about Episode 1 and 2 on my channel before, so if you want to check them out, they'll be in the description or up here somewhere. As I said with those two videos, I want to keep the comments in this section limited with spoilers, especially containing to Episode 4, 5 and 6 of Ghosts of Series 4, because I don't want to ruin the experience of people who are watching it week by week. So yeah, and of course this video will contain spoilers to Ghost Series 4 Episode 3 and all the episodes before it. I will be talking about just the show as generally, probably things might pop up. So yes, let's get straight into the video. So as expected, I did really love this episode too. I think this is a very, very strong series of ghosts. I mean, every episode is great, but I feel like every episode is just perfect. It's just amazing. So this episode focuses on Alison being really, really mad at the ghosts, and at the start we're not sure why she's mad, and also the ghosts aren't sure either, and they're trying to make amends and say sorry, which is the hardest word for them to say. And I think this episode is really, really good and really strong. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about. This episode is structured slightly differently to what we've seen in the previous episodes, where instead of having all the ghosts kind of split up and go on their little adventures, it's the majority of the ghosts all working together, and then Alison and Mike off on their own, and Mary is the outlier in this one where she does go out on her own as well. So as much as I really, really like seeing the ghosts go, like, pair off, group off and do whatever they're doing, it's nice to see the majority of them get together, all interact together all at the same time for the majority of the episode. So I really, really enjoyed that. I thought it was a different episode and kind of broke up the structure a bit, so it's a bit different, but it still works very well, and we still get a big load of plot line and character development as well. So first of all, let's just talk about the big group of ghosts. So everybody except for Mary has upset Alison, which isn't that surprising, and again we learn later on in the episode that it's because they keep just like mithering her and just not letting her, they're just not helping, and they're going kind of out of their way to not help and just making her life more difficult, which I think is very accurate to kind of how it would be like to be the only person to see these ghosts. And I think she has held it together very well so far, and this is just the thing that's pushed her over the edge, and she just needs like some extra help, which I think is very reasonable and understandable. I think having them not really know what they did wrong was quite funny as well, because they don't know they can't just apologise for saying they don't know what they did. So I think that obviously sets up a good challenge for them to try and figure out how to say sorry. I really liked some of their solutions, which was to send Kitty first, because she's the one that Alison likes the most, which I think it's interesting that they've noticed that she likes Kitty the most, where I don't know whether I would necessarily say that, like, yeah, they have a good friendship and they act like sisters, but I think Kitty has got on Alison's nerves a lot, so maybe they're saying that just to make Kitty feel better, or I don't know, maybe they have noticed that Alison and Kitty do have a special sisterly bond, which is quite nice. And some of the reasons of why they think Alison is mad are quite funny as well. So Kitty basically saying that she wished Alison was dead so that they could live together and hug and all that. But my favourite one was Julian putting his finger into Alison's boiled egg. That would drive me mad if someone did that. And I love to imagine what Mike's reaction to that would have been if he did see just that egg kind of blurt out. So that's quite funny. Yeah, so I quite liked all of that. I thought that was very funny. So that all just them all arguing and trying to decide what they did wrong and what to do and who's to blame. Very funny and very realistic to kind of what a group would be like if they don't know if they've just been told off, and their reaction to being told off as well. And then we see it 3 times in the episode, all slowly, solemnly walking out of the room, just awkward, and then being like, that's the most I've ever been told off. Just that awkwardness that is throughout all of them is just very funny, and something that is kind of kept throughout the whole episode. They don't know what to do, and I think this is a position that we haven't really seen the ghosts in too much before. So a couple of little things I liked. I liked the captain firing his pistol. I thought that was very funny. And again, then moving up to bigger weapons, so like a machine gun, and then he would have had to bring out a grenade. I liked that. I thought that was very funny. And again, Captain's apology to Alison, which was just apologies Alison denying the apology and him just walking out saying she won't be reasoned with. And then we see how he grows from that as well and learns that that's not a good apology, just shouting orders at somebody, even though he's going to continue shouting orders at people because that's who he is. My favourite bit of this episode was, of course, the little song and dance they did. I thought it was just so wonderful. Them trying to come up with the songs, talking about Band-Aid, Julian playing the piano, and we're seeing Julian's powers actually be used a lot more and a lot more frequently. Before it was something that he had to put so much focus and attention to, whereas now it's something that he just does all the time, which I think is, allows him to interact with Alison and the human world a bit more frequently, which I always love. Similarly, we haven't seen anybody walk through Mary recently. But yeah, the song and dance, so funny. Kitty crying while she's singing, and Thomas then doing a spontaneous little rap thing, if you can even call it a rap, to Alison, throwing them all off. And then I really liked Fanny, who didn't want to be involved in the song, thought it was stupid, then jumping in and taking over Kitty's part when Kitty couldn't continue so that the song could finish. And I think that just shows, again, every character's kind of changed a bit in this episode and grown throughout this experience. So Fanny realising it's probably the right thing to do, jumping in and taking over, knowing what to do in that moment. Robin, I really liked that he was keeping Thomas on track with that's not the tone. And then he did, when they were writing the email at the end, keeping him saying, "There's off topic, you can't talk about how beautiful she is." And so I like that he kind of took a bit more of a leadership approach. Yeah, Fanny having to edit Thomas's bit at the end as well. So yeah, I really like that. And then when the song didn't work because they couldn't explain why she was mad, Mike then telling them, "I think you guys should leave," after they'd already left, was very funny. Again, just showing that because sometimes you kind of forget that Mike doesn't see the ghost, because he just kind of just sits back patiently and waits until Alison's finished talking with them. And for him to then again try and talk to them, it's kind of oh yeah, he can't see them, because yeah, he's very good at kind of keeping out of the way and knowing when to stop talking a bit. So yeah, I really liked that. Well, as I mentioned, the email at the end, or not the email, the review that they did, which I thought was a lovely, very sweet gesture, and something that they then acknowledge, right, this is the right thing to do. It's something that helps Alison, and it's nice. It shows how much we appreciate her. And I thought that was a lovely way to end the episode. I thought it was very sweet, and to show how much effort they would have put into that, to write that whole thing, and then Julian especially to type it all out. So that was really nice. The next major plot line would be Alison trying to relax Mike, trying to help her relax and give her this amazing day when their guests cancel on the guest house, which is sad, but they got this relaxing day out of it. I thought it was very fun to see Mike kind of scramble to make this perfect day. And really, really wanting to help, kind of losing sight a bit of what she needed, which was just to relax and do nothing, but wanting so much to make her happy that he's willing to go run out to stores and do all this to try and make her relax a bit and de-stress, which I thought was really lovely. I've kind of talked about how much I've defended Mike, because it's not so much anymore. I feel like things have definitely got a bit better, but from what I saw on Twitter and things like that, there was a lot of people saying that Mike was not good enough for Alison. But I think he is very attentive, very loving, and wants to do his best to help her. Sometimes, yeah, he may lose sight of that, but I thought he was very sweet in this episode, trying to do his best and trying to give her everything she wanted. We kind of got this unwavering optimism from him as well, where even when everything failed, he came up with a new idea, moved on, and yeah, it wasn't the best day, but at least he tried, and he did put in a lot of effort. So I really, really enjoyed this little segment, this little plot line that we got. And of course that led to loads of funny moments. I really liked Mike and Alison's phone call when he was in the shop. Kind of it was this disaster zone, and he had to escape immediately and then running out with stock cubes. So I really enjoyed that. And then Mike running around naked when they were trying to make the song, and the ghost just being stunned, not knowing what to do or say, and just kind of getting on with it. I thought that was very funny. It was just done so well. I think a lot of people could relate to this, and wanting to have that relaxing day, but just nothing going right. And I think Alison did a very good job of just keeping it calm, and she just appreciated everything. I think it just shows what a wonderful relationship they have. And something I have talked about before about their relationship is I think it's really lovely that we've got such a healthy, strong relationship shown on screen in a sitcom, whereas normally sitcom relationships are quite toxic, and yeah, so it's just a nice change, and I like that they've stuck with that throughout the series. The last little bit of plot line that we had was Mary standing up for herself and not letting them use her as kind of a pawn to gain Alison's forgiveness, because she wasn't involved in Alison being mad. This is something that we have learned from the previous episode, showing how Annie was trying to help Mary stand up for herself, be more confident in herself, and to be able to say what she wanted to say. And this, I definitely feel we've seen the effect of that on Mary in this episode, for her to stand up for herself and, you know, saying she's going to leave the guilt with the guilty, because she's already been blamed for saying she was innocent before, and took the punishment for that, a very horrible punishment for that, something that she was innocent for and that she didn't do. And yeah, I think just Mary having a little peaceful day to herself, which I think was very lovely and very well deserved. I really liked her just wandering around the grounds and then sitting in that little nook talking to the statue. I thought it was all very sweet, and Mary had a lot of good lines in this episode as well. Her little talk about justice was very funny. I got one quote that stuck in my mind, saying justice is a fickle wench, and I really, really liked that. And there was a few other things that she said in that very smart little monologue she did there as well. And I think her kind of understanding that justice isn't always right as well. So yeah, I thought that was a very big step for Mary, and I think she's had a lot of growth in this series so far, and yeah, so it's very, very good to see. And then, of course, Mary shouting and telling off Alison and the other ghosts at the end as well. That's something that we've never seen in Mary, for her to be this powerful authoritarian figure almost, and telling them off, and, you know, being the kind of moral high ground in this episode as well. And yeah, telling them all off and saying that, how can you forgive them? They haven't earned your forgiveness enough, and stuff like that. And I think it was a very funny way to end the episode as well. So I loved it. Yeah, so there's a lot I loved about this episode. One little other thing I liked was Robin not being able to say apothecary, and having Humphry teach him how to say it, and obviously it's the same actor, so just a funny little thing that I liked about that. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Again, like I said, keep the comments limited to this episode and the previous ones, and nothing about future episodes, because yeah, we don't want series 4 spoiled for people. So yeah, if you like this video, then please give it a like. It's really appreciated, really helps the channel. And yeah, subscribe if you want to see more videos to do with ghosts. Thank you for watching. Bye.